All right. Well, hello everyone, and good evening from all of us here at Rook and Rasp. It is time for our daily Twitch seance. Hello out there in Twitch land. Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Do we have good audio going out? It's one of those things where I'm kind of always happy when that is something that's covered. Waiting for somebody in chat really quick. So I think we're
Be shy,
there. You
speak
go.
up.
Looks like we're good.
All right, awesome. All right. Well, good evening and welcome everyone. And thank you once again for tuning in. Tonight, we are returning to the Fragged Empire universe. We are playing the second edition game, which is going to be coming to Kickstarter. We're doing kind of a playtest version that is currently available. If you go to Discord, you can track it down and maybe play it yourself if you are so enthused to do so. But before we get too far into that, it would probably be a good idea for me to introduce my players. So, starting up, let's go ahead and say hello to Allah.
Hi, everyone.
Allah, I'm going to go ahead and ask you. Uh, so, we're playing in a space opera esque game. Maybe even you could call it. They call it post apocalyptic. But what would you say is your first exposure to a space genre form of entertainment?
Think it would probably have to be Star Wars. I think it was maybe 9, 8 or 9, something like that. But we got the original VHS box set when that came out sometime in the 90s.
Nice.
Um, and yeah, that's Star Wars still holds a special place in my heart.
All right. So next up in order, I'm actually going to go across and let's talk to Ted. So
Hi,
Ted,
everyone.
introduce yourself and tell us what would be your earliest exposure to sci-fi space entertainment.
All right. Well, as John said, my name is Ted. I'm one half of Escapebox Games, the creators of Suited. And my earliest sci-fi, I think the earliest memory I have is The Last Starfighter. It's either that or what was it? Starman. I think those were my earliest
Oh
memories
wow.
of sci-fi. Now, if you want me as a kid early memories, then I have to go with Star Trek and Star Wars, obviously.
Nice. Uh, Going from there, we're going to go down to the next row. And Cece, go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what your first introduction to space was.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Cece. Uh, I am part of a podcast called The Drunken Geek. You can find us pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts, but I think my first one or my first interaction with space opera type stuff is actually the first Alien movie.
Ooh.
That came out when I was younger, and I distinctly remember it, playing on the TV in the living room, and I wasn't supposed to watch it, but I did. Don't tell my mom, she'll get mad.
Oh, hey, I had the same experience with Terminator. So, yeah, I understand. Next up, though, we also have Sean. So go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what your introduction to space was.
Ready? I'm Sean. Okay, so there's going to be three distinct ones. As far as first run, being obsessed with it would be Star Wars. I mean, I distinctly remember going to see Empire Strikes Back when it came out in the movie theater the first time. And that started it then. But growing up, I watched the old Star Trek reruns with my mom, and I also remember loving Battlestar Galactica, the original run.
Nice. Yeah, I actually had forgotten about Battlestar. So,
What
all
about
right.
you,
Well,
John?
so hi everyone. My name is John, and I am one half of kind of the owners, runners with here at Rook and Rasp. And my introduction to space genre stuff was actually Star Wars. And I remember very specifically where I was. I was a very young kid hanging out at a mall with my parents. We'd gone to a have some Mexican food at the mall, and while I'm sitting there, across from me at a Sartor's home video store was a Star Wars came up on the screen, specifically the trash compactor scene. and the little eye stalk came up out of the trash and looked around and freaked me the heck out. And so that was my introduction. That was my first time. Now, since then, obviously, I love space and I find it to be an absolutely wonderful genre. Uh, that said, we are playing in a universe that a lot of people may not know about. If this is your first time joining us, really quickly to explain, Fragged is a post-apocalyptic game set in a future version of our universe where humanity has died off through genetic drift and war and just loss of life. I mean, this happened. They created a species to kind of try and carry on their work and hopefully save them. Didn't work out. And then that species later on died out in a huge war with another race in the universe. That race and the species mankind created a whole bunch of other races, and they all did battle. Most of them getting wiped out. But in the end, all those one race died. The other race is like, cool, I'm out. I did what I wanted to do. I destroyed him. So they took their ball and went home. And all these races that they created are what is left in the universe. So my players here are going to be playing characters from races that essentially are built. Their society is built on the backbone of what was left over from man and what was left over from the race that came after them. So, a interesting universe. But that said, let's go ahead and start off where when last we left our intrepid crew. You find yourself in uncharted territory. And I will say that you are in the nearby Halo Nebula. You're able to finally, figure this part out. Just beyond the edge of the Haven system. Your visual sensors are worthless right this moment, and your ship is flying blind as far as you are concerned. In a cloud of space dust that sounds in the cockpit like either a torrent rainfall or a hive of angry wasps is colliding with your hull. Now, worse yet, when you exited your FTL travel, your ship was left craning and spinning uncontrollably, and the counter rotating centrifuges that provided you gravity had shut down, leaving you weightless and at the mercy of the Infinity, which is the ship they are on. Thankfully, through quick thinking and hard work, each one of you managed to quickly facilitate the recovery of the ship. So let me go ahead and ask, where do you think your characters are at this point? Uh, you all had ended up someplace different exiting FTL. What would y'all do as a crew at this point? Where do we find you?
So we're done with repairs. The ship has been stabilized, right?
Hmm. Would you make your way to the cockpit? Do you think it's time for a corporate meeting to discuss what's going on? What do y'all think y'all are doing?
I think we need. Uh, Jax would want to know where they are and if they're okay before we talk about anything. So I don't know if there's a way we can enhance the sensors, but that's what I would be trying to figure out in the cockpit.
Fazra would be making sure that the other fleshy members of the crew are okay. And seeing as they are, I'm assuming, he is most likely going to be kind of hovering around in the background, waiting to be of use, because spaceships are not his forte, nor his mechanical stuff.
Okay. So you're treating them, or at least having a look, making sure they're okay. Where would you be doing that? Do you think you would have gone to them, or would you have them come to your practice? What would you, how would this work out?
Oh no, he definitely would have sought out the crew. After informing Jax about the hole in the hull that has the skin patch on it, he would have very quickly sought out the captain, made sure that they were okay, then tried to find Jax wherever they ended up and making sure they were okay as well. And then ever since then, probably hanging around the captain in the background, trying to not get in the way, but also being there if he needs to be a gopher.
All right. Uh, I will say you do feel a nudge at your leg, and you look down, and your little corgi friend just kind of collides with you, looks up, kind of makes that little huff sound, and collapse into a sploot next to you.
I will definitely then have to crouch down and just pat him on the head.
All right. Now, Ellie, what about you?
So I think Ellie's primary body will finally leave their quarters and join the others in the I guess in the cockpit area. And there's still like drones hovering about too, like like checking various systems, but Ellie's like primary kind of droid destroyed. I mean, it looks like they had some scrapes through this whole process. Like they were not the most attentive during the hyperspeed travel that we just went through.
Okay. All right. Well, now that we've got a good sense for where everyone is, so I am going to say that Ellie, uh, the chrono computer that you're attached to, immediately begins making computations and processing for a flight plan that is going to be taking you into the odd orbit, following an odd orbit of a planet. Now, this planet is a kind of a non-standard orbit, and it's traversing an impossible, tangible orbit that seems to be flowing through a blue trinary star system. Uh, so at this point, the color of it obviously doesn't matter. There is, if you open up the windows to this ship, there is white light everywhere, filtering through all that space dust, and that is what is causing y'all to fly blind. But the fact is that that light is the result of three small neutron stars, very tightly clustered. But the fact is that in order for three stars to exist within a nebula, especially for them to operate within space, in a system, it's almost like imagine a particle. Particles rotating around each other. Your neutron, your everything else, your positron. I'm joking. Uh, all these parts kind of rotating around each other, and add to that, there is a planet. Now, you don't see that planet, but it's like the supercomputer is trying to figure out where it is and create a flight path to it. Uh, it's kind of a chaotic pattern to your eye, and looking at the mathematic precision of what's going on, even with the with this computer's equation, for lack of a better phrase, kind of makes your eyes cross. I mean, it's that level of computations that's happening right in front of you. And even before you can really respond, it's like the thrusters engage. And the sound of the swarm begins to take over and increase. So that is what's happening in addition to this.
We are not responsible for this. Just we wanted to
Yeah.
put that out there.
No, I
So,
mean, we can all take part in the responsibility of it. We all decided to push the button.
Uh, Technically, I get to take blame because I'm the captain and I pressed the button. Someone else had to hit the console, but I'm the one that made the decision to press the button. I'm kidding. We can share blame. It's fine. I
Captain,
don't want to take that.
do not take the blame. We were not at our most attentive. Had we noticed the communication network between the corporate that entered our ship, we would have been able to intercept this attempted hijacking.
I don't think they
Disposal?
wanted to hijack us. I think they wanted to blow us up.
It was a coup.
I believe they wanted to take the ship.
Look, we just did to them what they were probably going to do to us. Short walk out of an airlock.
now that said, as y'all are talking, Fazra, you are noticing that you're having trouble kind of keeping your eyes open. As the ship is flying, uh, at first it's just kind of a bother. But now you're actually starting to notice that your face seems to be responding to something. Uh,
Is this
and
a like staring into a bright light can't keep my eyes open, or can't keep my eyes open as in like I'm getting sleepy?
Strangely enough, neither. It's you begin to notice that you're at first you have to wipe your face a few times, uh, but it's like your hair is beginning to stand on end, and your hair is on your face is just coming out, and it's making it harder and harder to see.
Well, I would normally want to roll some sort of planets or something, but Ellie, are you are you picking up on any sort of static field or anything in this area? I can't seem to keep my fur straight.
Are you leaking fluids?
Not currently.
Is it notable to the rest of us that his fur is kind of standing on end?
Oh yeah, if you actually look over at him, imagine a angry or scared kitten, all the
Oh,
hair all over the body now standing on end at every angle.
He is looking
Uh,
very miffed.
quick,
That
someone
and
bring me my fuzzy socks.
coming
that's
out of his out of his uniform as well. And this is the first thing that you notice about it, but you also begin to notice within each one of you that if you do have hair, uh, that hair is also experiencing similar effects.
like the my ponytail dreads are kind of like just poofing out.
Hmm.
That's a new look for you, Doc. I don't think I've ever seen you quite so uh, fluffy.
We shall
Not my
record
normal
this in our
state.
memory banks so you may view this later and laugh.
Thanks, Ellie. While you're at it, be sure to get Buckmaster down there. He looks like a pair of little beach balls stuffed together.
And
He does
indeed, he
appear to be
does.
suffering.
Oh, that's horrible. The poor guy.
Uh, I would like to try and poke Jax on like the arm and see if maybe it's like static electricity building up between us for some reason and see if it shocks either of us.
It does actually.
Oh, what the heck?
I'm sorry. I was trying to test something. I should have said something first. I apologize.
Lee
I'll remember
immediately
that
is
for the
like,
next time that all of our hair is standing up on end.
Hmm.
well,
And Captain has had her hair pulled back in a ponytail, but you can see the ponytail has started to just straight spread out behind her head.
Ellie, are you gonna be? We're building up static. Are you gonna be okay, Ellie?
most likely not.
And that's a good question. Why don't you go
Concern
ahead
rising.
and make a electronics check on this?
Me or
Ellie.
You don't want me doing it.
Let's see, I got a 1 and a 6, so I'm going to use the 6 to re-roll that 1. Ooh, it's another 6. Oh, good. So
what?
it's a total of 22.
Nice.
Ooh.
Wow. Okay. Uh, so I'm gonna say that yes, you're aware, and it does seem to be building up all over the ship. And yeah, I would say I'm actually going to say with the amount of the height of the success that you got, uh, it's like after you had accessed all these memories and sections of the ship before, uh, portions of it that had been closed off to you before, parts of it seem to incorporate into your memories. So they're not technically your memories, but they are memories of the ship. And you now know that there is a certain amount of danger in this. You need to disperse this field because should it reach a critical point, it could wipe out your memory cells.
Do we have a laundry room?
So do
What's
we
the
have some sort
likelihood
of
there's
shield?
dryer sheet?
Do you
Super
think Corp
soaker.
pays for that?
No, but Captain wouldn't want static uniforms if at all possible.
Elle, is this just a issue for you, or is this an issue for the entire crew?
This might be an issue for the ship.
Yeah, if it wipes out
believe so.
Ellie's memory banks, it could totally hose our internal computer systems too.
They are somewhat better protected than mine, but there is a massive AI on this ship.
So,
All right.
there goes that
So
option of a Faraday cage.
I was gonna say, if do we have time to build you a Faraday cage? I
Not
could
big
slap
enough for
one
the entire
together.
ship.
Well, I think we need something bigger.
No, I'm just talking about for you to protect you while we try to figure out what's going on with the ship, or how to dispel that.
Could we reroute that static energy into something else, like one of
Now
our
that
systems, like weapon systems or something, and then like disperse it that way?
between, I'm gonna say let's go with a mechanics test on that.
All right, let's see. 9.
All right. So, I'm gonna say that your hmm, you're pretty sure. You said 9.
9, yeah.
It would be feasible to route it into other systems of the ship. The question is, though, which systems?
I don't want to route it into our railguns because we only have one shot out of each gun. So if we try to route the static charge through there, that could cause the railguns to launch, and that'll do us no good if we need them later. We could try to route it into thrusting. They give us a little more oomph and maneuverability.
Our navigation is currently unstable. It appears to be quantum computing our route to this unknown destination.
So would extra power to the engines help that routing?
We are uncertain. It could end us in a star.
If I remember right, we don't have anything like energy shields, correct, John?
No,
No.
currently no.
That would be the easiest thing to route to. Just put all that energy to shields.
But let's go ahead and, based on systems that you currently have access to on the ship, how about computers or electronics? Depending on which skill you use, so I'll give a different answer.
uh, I can use electronics.
Can I?
Yeah.
Can I do the electronics? Because I have
Yeah.
a plus, or the computers, because I have a +3 to that.
God, yes.
Ellie will happily assist
Six-
if you need
A
it.
6 and a 4, so that's 12, 16 plus 3, 19.
Nice. All right. So with the computers, the biggest thing is going to be almost like think of it like you have a certain amount of energy that is building up, and you want it to be able to go to more locations to give you more time. So shutting it down or anything else could, lead to a faster, critical mass.
Mhm.
But and because of your, level of score, I'm gonna say because you've well more than exceeded any of the difficulties I could have set for it. Uh, there are the solar sails on the exterior of the
Ooh.
ship, and rerouting them out to those systems, you might be able to disperse it, out and away from the ship.
I forgot we had sails.
Are
I'll
they
turn.
still functional after that trip through? I mean, we probably need to make sure that we can actually deploy them still with all the
Well,
with all the grit out there pinging off the ship. Is that going to shred the sails though if we try to deploy them? That's something we don't know.
Not necessarily.
Could we have the lifeboat. Could we potentially route everything there and then
That's
just toss it?
I
probably.
also feel like we have the engines, we have some reserve energy sources. If anything did happen to the sails, is that something that would be absolutely catastrophic to us being able to continue to move around?
Not really. The sails really just provide you a non FTL method and
Mhm.
a non jump method to traverse to save money. Right
Okay.
now, you're not using that at all.
Okay.
And what do we care if we cost the corporation some money now?
Yeah, they tried to kill us earlier, so I feel like I don't mind charging a little more to their line of credit.
And honestly, I feel a little better doing it that way than putting everything into our one and only lifeboat and jettisoning that. Granted, as
Very
far
fair.
as
We may
as
need to escape.
well, and as far as we are away from home, I don't know how good escaping on the lifeboat would be.
You never
But
know.
yeah, exactly. Okay.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and I'm going to say that let's do a mechanics check and an electronics check to do this. And I'm going to set the difficulty for both. We're going to say that this is going to be a moderate task. So I'm saying the difficulty at a 12 for both tasks.
And remind me again, John, gameplay wise. So if we have the skill train, we add one to that, correct?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And
So if someone can take, I mean, I've got mechanics, so I don't know who has electronics right now.
I
I
can
will
help with that.
give 1 point as the GM because this is a good plan and I like how it sounds. So pick one of your rolls, add an extra 1, 2.
And John, whoever is going to end up doing the most physical work, I would like to try to assist him. And I think I'm going to go with resolve here because my fur just keeps getting in the way. It's poofy, it's annoying, and I'm just going to stubborn my way through this. Darn it, and be of use because I don't know what the heck I'm doing.
All right.
If I call out a tool, can you hand it to me?
That's a good darn question. I'm gonna have to go with no. I rolled a
Uh-oh.
6, so I will spend a point of grit to re-roll that.
Let's go for it.
That's better. That's a 12.
Spend a
14
roll of.
plus 2.
I'm going to spend a point of grit to reroll mine as well. Okay, that's a 6, so I'm going to reroll the 1.
First roll of the game, 6.
Uh,
You rolled 3d6, right?
oh, I was rolling 2 for some reason.
All right.
There we go. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I rolled 13.
All right. Now, yeah, difficulty was set at 12, so you more than exceeded it. Didn't really go much over it, but I'll say that you get the sails deployed, and for the most part, it doesn't seem to shred or damage anything. The arms extend. Uh, Looks like everything is going according to plan, but now we did need that other test. So if somebody wants to go ahead and make the electronics test to go ahead and disperse everything.
Okay. Here we
I'll
go.
message to Ellie. Hey, the sales are out, Ellie, so let's go ahead and do what you do.
Rerouting. Extra power to sails.
Maybe.
Well, it's at least a 13. And then plus 17 altogether.
And
All
you
right.
got that 1 point. I didn't use it, so it's 18.
There we go.
Yeah,
18 now.
more than enough to do this. And as you reroute it, it creates a pulse of energy centering on the ship, moving through the debris field. And that pulse kind of clears the nebula around you a little bit, not too far out. But it clears up a little bit of your area, and it shatters the ice crystals, and it kind of creates, looking out, it almost creates like what appears to be a tidal wave moving past you in all directions. And it's the first moment you've really gotten a clear sensor reading since before the ship, before it jumped. And within seconds, your sensory suites take over, and you begin to read a large object traveling ahead. It's a large rocky planetoid with appears to have only enough gravity to maintain an atmosphere, and it looms in the distance ahead of you by an hour or two at sublay speeds. That said, however, you also, I'm going to say, looking at here, I'm going to roll a d6. And I am going to say that, Fazra,
Okay.
uh, you notice that you are not alone. The ship is not alone out here.
As in, there's other ships, there's creatures.
Something large in space moves, moving apart some of the debris field in the distance. Uh, and whatever it is, it's large.
All right. Well, Fazra would draw the captain's attention to it, but considering the captain's not here right now, we will go with the rest of the crew. Uh, we just threw a really big rock in the small pond, and I think we woke up whatever lives there. And he will draw everyone's attention to whatever the big thing is moving over in the debris field.
Do we have any more information from our sensors?
You are welcome to go ahead and make a check with that. I will say the first thing that you notice, because this isn't automatic in this universe, is that if it were a ship, it would have an energy source, and energy sources at this range automatically appear.
Okay.
There's no energy source.
No, but it's moving towards us, or is it just stationary?
You saw movement. I will put it that way.
Oh.
And it was not movement as part of the tidal wave of energy leaving the ship, disturbing the debris field.
Do we have scanners that would scan for like biology?
In the medical bay.
I think we could probably arrange our sensors to do that. It's just there's a lot of interference right now.
All right. Welcome back. Just to catch you up really quick, CC. Don't know if you heard, but there is something else outside the ship.
Oh, fun.
Thing.
Large and not a ship, and it's moving.
Or at least not an electronic ship.
Yeah.
Okay. When you large, like comparatively to our ship, large, or like,
Well, the
can we
thing is
tell
that
that?
because it has no energy signature,
Okay.
which is like the most damning thing about it, is that it's definitely not a normal ship.
Okay.
It's hard to say for sure, but it's big, and
Okay.
especially for Fazra to register. Yes.
Did the Nephilim ships, do they use electronics and such, or are they all organic?
They are, from my understanding, they're a mixture of the two, because they are capable. They have organic, components, but it's almost like, think of a semi-carbon based life form. There is energy allowing it to move, and especially because they can travel through gates.
Gotcha.
So there is definitely energy there.
Do we just keep letting the ship move forward and just keep an eye on it? I mean, it's not doing anything aggressive as far as we know. I mean, it's interesting and all, but I don't think there's much we can do about it at the moment.
We can maintain a scanner visual on it until it is necessary for us to take aggressive action.
Do you want me to, Captain, do you want me to fire up, or not fire up, but warm up the railguns just in case, or do you want to just not even make it?
I would say let's not yet until they give us a reason to. Because if they're not a threat and they recognize that we are warming up a weapon, it could turn them hostile.
Okay.
Ellie, you register something on the exterior sensors that it casts a shadow that eclipses the ship. That means that it could be. It's again, it's a trick of light. It might be small. It might be further from you and closer to the light source. But that definitely tells you that whatever it is, it's actually moving quite fast.
Okay.
We should not be concerned yet.
Yet. Okay.
Is it
Um,
moving? Is the scanner showing it moving towards us, moving parallel to us? I mean, how concerned should we be at this point?
Uh, Doing a little mathematics, I would say,
mhm,
adding a cinematic note to it based on position where it started and position where its last registered place was.
mhm.
It's moving parallel, but it is getting closer.
Okay. Um,
Hmm.
w- we are continuing to move forward, right? Like we didn't stop through all of this.
Oh no,
Where
the
our
ship.
ship is still moving. So it appears to be moving parallel along with us and getting closer. It's not just like also like we are here stationary and it's going past
No,
us. We are moving in the same direction, it appears.
it, the Dave and Bowie both are chatting away, and they're actually not. They're
I
not even
forgot that was our
piloting yeah,
I forgot that was their name.
they're not
There.
even piloting the ship currently. They're not even really paying attention. In fact, uh, if you listened in on it in their somewhat binary language, they're
Mhm.
discussing perhaps the moral benefit of playing checkers. You know, and that seems to
Fair.
be the general discussion, and they are not paying attention at all.
Okay.
The ship is being piloted currently by this computer, this astronavigation computer that is currently attached to Ellie.
Okay. So it's on auto captain right now.
Just about,
Um,
yeah.
if that's the case, Captain wants a snack. We should go to the kitchens. And along the way, we can just check and make sure that all of our systems are still working out there. Even though Ellie has probably already told us everything's fine, Captain just wants an excuse to go get a snack.
Well, we've got screens in the galley that we can route the visuals and the scanners to, so we can at least keep an eye on what's going on. But you're right. I mean,
Cool.
there's no sense in sitting up here and worrying ourselves to death until there's really something to worry about.
We are pleased to say that the rehydrator is fully operational.
The hour and a
Yes!
half has gone by.
We're gonna break out the good stuff.
The chili
'Cause,
mac.
yeah, the chili mac.
We will maintain
Yes.
visuals on the target.
Ellie, can we use visitor? Target means it sounds like it's a bad thing. Maybe it's a good thing. They could be
Very
here to
well.
hang out with us. I don't know.
Our
Let's.
neighbor.
There you go, neighbor. That's a great word.
Now, reminding y'all the description of the mess hall. Uh, so it's around the midsection of the ship, and it's arriving at it. The first thing you come to is the ancient brass placard on the wall nearby. It is so old that it is covered in a green and pink patina. It stands out against the gunmetal gray of the hallways, but it reads, briefings and logistics. Uh, Heaven knows what exactly that means, but the room has been made much more Spartan. There are a series of tables kind of arranged in a triangle pattern, and all along the walls are these modular containers that literally say the best in dehydrated meals for the production satellite in orbit around the world of Alabaster. But at the same time, as you open the door, uh, the Catharian rigged radio, which is now blasting static at ear piercing volumes as the door opens, and you're pet just basically makes a yip suddenly and runs off down the hallway.
I'm gonna run towards it and just find the volume and just slap it off. Like, oh my god, why do we have this so loud?
I'll go find Buckmaster. Just let me know if I'm needed. And Bowser will follow after.
I guess he's not hungry.
All right. So, he, setting up this meal, it's not so much heating, it's not so much rehydrating, it's not even really enjoying. Uh, but it is, you open up the containers and a tray plops down and a meal is made ready to eat. So,
No one touch my jalapeno cheese. I will fight you.
That's okay. I'm in the mood for what whatever their excuse for vegetarian curry is.
Okay.
We are very glad we have no taste.
There's a reason Bowser went after the dog.
not to eat him, don't worry.
I appreciate that we all went to the same place.
But
Yes,
There's a reason
definitely
that
not to
half
eat
of
him.
him is metal.
there we go. So, that said, things that you're also experiencing, Ellie, as the crew is going to eat. The ship is moving along. You're now registering that the source of static energy buildup is the debris field. As it rubs up against the ship, that is what's basically creating the energy signature. And ever so often, you get an arc of lightning that comes off of the sails outside as it basically shoots off energy away from you. Had you obviously not deployed the sails and not figured out a way through this, that could have been inside the ship. Not just affecting you, but affecting the organic life forms.
An internal bug zapper.
It would have
No more
been
mosquitoes.
tragic.
But other things that you're noticing is it's like you feel for a moment that maybe gravity is playing a trick with you out here. But because the thing is, this miasma, this nebula, this all this particulate that's moving about you, the icy detritus beyond the walls of the ship, you come to points where there is kind of like, think a hole, but a hole is not a great way to describe it. Think of it almost as a tunnel. And it's like the ship will pass through one of those and continue through further into the debris field. So,
Are we able to tell if the neighbor outside has continued to move along with us? Does it appear to be, from what we can tell, getting affected by the same static electricity? It's not shooting anything off, is it?
not at all.
Okay.
Uh, and I will say that it actually appears to have left.
Ooh. The entire thing was made of dryer sheets. I see now.
It might have been an organic being that consumes energy.
Star whale.
Star whale.
Whale.
Here
Or
are the
those little things in Star
drivers.
Wars, those leech things.
Or
Oh,
what's the big turtle thing that supposedly has the world on its back?
the Great Atune or
Yes.
something like that. Yeah.
It's something like that.
Yeah. No, my brain thinks immediately of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And it's like, oh, what's that rushing up to meet me? I hope we can be friends.
Hope we can be neighbors.
And actually, the best part of that is the African violets that are out. Oh no, not again.
But so Fazra, you do eventually find you know Buckmaster, and he has curled up in a corner of this causeway where two causeways merge. There's like this little space about a foot and a half by foot and a half, right in the corner, and he's wedged himself in there, kind of done a little spin, and kind of just sat down, and it's like, he looks up at you. You think, uh, his head moves, and you see the kind of bar of energy moving back and forth over this visor. As I described, kind of like a Cylon, just looking in your direction, maybe.
I've seen this movie. Does his body language show distress in any way?
Mm, yeah,
I can give
he.
you a psychology roll if you'd like.
Ooh, let's go for it. Why not?
Nice.
Ooh, I don't think we've used that one yet.
Well, that is a 9, 13 plus 2. That's a 15 for psychology.
Nice.
He looks to be disturbed. He is not happy. If you had to look at him and you're guessing, obviously the static electricity, the same issue that you were going through, without the logical mind necessarily to to put together thoughts about it. No way to deal with the stress of that. Then walking in and the loud music, he's just done. It's like, I'm gonna find the quietest corner in the ship I can find, and that's where he is.
Fazra is going to stoop down and scoop him up, or attempt to scoop him up, and say, "Come on, Bucky. I think I might have something that'll help you in the med bay." And he'll attempt to scoop him up and take him to the medical office.
And he lets out that long huffy whine that long dogs are notorious for. That you know, and kind of just melts into your arms. But yeah, he's along for the ride.
I will carry him along to the med bay, and I have biotech. I'll see if I can come up with some RoboCorgi earplugs or something, some earmuffs for him to wear to help keep the sound of the static and the debris field rubbing against the ship down. And I'll probably build some for myself while I'm at it.
All right.
Or print some.
For the most part, you know, your travel seems almost uneventful out here. After a while, you're starting to notice that y'all are coming within range of the planet. Maybe 15 minutes away at sublight speeds. And
Still the debris field all around us with the planet,
still
or
the
okay.
yes. Now, the sections, Ellie, of these tunnels are getting larger. Uh, Before, they seemed to be affected by the movement and gravity to where they were starting to collapse and kind of moving in odd ways. But now they seem to be larger and forming straighter tunnels. Uh, but ahead of you, you begin to register a pulsing light and an energy signature around the size of a satellite.
Does this appear to be our destination?
As far as where you're going, it looks like this is going to be near, possibly in a very high, uh, you know, possibly near lunar orbit of the planet.
Captain, we are approaching a space station. Or something resembling one.
Interesting. Can I make would it be like a planet check to see if
Let's
I recognize? Because I know we're in a different area than I've really ever been, but can I recognize if it's
Oh,
something maybe I've read about or?
do you have astronomy?
Yes.
Let's go with astronomy then instead.
Okay. Okay. So I got a 6, a 5, and a 1. I'd like to use the 6 to re-roll the 1. And now it's a 2, so 6, 11, 13, 14.
All right, awesome. So I'm going to start off by describing this nebula.
Okay.
So in the early days of exploration in the Haven system, which is basically where many of the races that have come together have ended up, the nebula right here on the edge of it is a kind of a rarely explored area. There's a belief that there are colonies, there are lost tech, possibly all sorts of things lurking out there in that nebula, as well as unrefined sources of materials and energy, things of that nature. So think of it as almost like in the age of exploration, this is the place that everybody who really wants to go and find a quick wealth, this is a great area to go to.
Okay.
But obviously there's dangers. But that said, it's very possible that especially with the reality of this ship is honing in on this planet, that there's going to be lost tech here.
Okay. Interesting.
We're on the Oregon Trail.
You have died of dysentery.
We are so glad we cannot get dysentery.
Yeah, I didn't eat those EMR or EMRs,
MREs.
MREs. God,
Meal
Sorry,
ready to
not think
eat.
today.
I feel like those have been processed so much that you wouldn't get dysentery from that, but they would eventually lead to liver failure or some other
I
unfortunate
guess it
accident.
depends on what kind of water you put into it. Because, yeah, they're typically dehydrated meals that you have to add water to and then cook.
as they always say, when you open it up, choose the lesser of two weevils.
Yes.
Well, no, you
I
want
mean,
the bigger weevil. It's more nutrients.
I mean,
It's extra
the water,
protein.
I mean, the water's reclaimed. We should be good.
Okay, probably fine.
Unless you guys have been experiencing weird things off ship, sampling the fruits somewhere off. I don't know.
What? We're not supposed to sample the fruits when we're off world?
No, no, you're
Oh.
not, Jax.
Oh, we'll talk
If
about
you
that
can
later.
avoid it.
Moving on. Sorry, John. Thank you for
Oh,
putting
no.
up with us.
This is what we do. What are you talking about? Got a story to tell. But so satellite. Thoughts on that?
Check it out. I mean, I'm
Are we
up for.
getting, like, any real readings off of it? Does it seem to be, like, trying to communicate out? Or does it seem like it's just
You're getting energy
chilling?
readings like intermittent,
Mm-hmm.
along with light pulsing. Very much could be a beacon.
Okay.
A very rudimentary beacon. So,
Is it Morse code?
I was gonna say, would that be like a culture roll to try to figure out what the blinking lights mean?
sure.
Are there 4 of them?
That's the big question.
I have no culture, so if someone else wants to try to make that roll, go for it.
There's
I
a
am a
joke in there,
cultureless
and I didn't
swine.
need to make it.
I've got culture, so if you guys want me to make it, I'll go for it.
I mean, I can roll for culture. I don't know if you want me to.
I'm gonna say for a really good answer, I'm setting a I'm gonna say probably a hard difficulty, but before you call it out, which I believe is a 16. I need to pull my thing back up here. My PDF accidentally closed.
I feel like this is probably super old tech. So whatever it is trying to communicate in may be just beyond the scope of our knowledge.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 16. So this is difficult.
Okay, so I'm going to spend a point of grit to reroll
All right.
because that was not a good roll that I did. Let's see. I got a 6, so I'm going to reroll one of the dice, right? With a 6.
Yep.
So that's another 6. So I'm going to re-roll the other 4 that I have.
Add it
I
all
gotta take a
together.
picture. I got 3 6s, so that is going to be 12, 18, 19, 20.
Just leave it.
Congratulations!
Okay, your character's a nerd.
I think you need to re-roll that other 6.
Nerd!
Nerd.
That was the best grit I've ever spent.
There you go. All right. Well, if there's one thing that you, as, and I'm gonna pull in a little bit of your background, as Count Torin would know, looking back to the ancient ways, if this were something that is pre-current technology, and we're talking either your progenitor race or humanity, this is too simple. A simple beacon emitting energy and light, no. They were light years ahead of where this was.
So, I mean, we can safely say that it's not Morse code. It's not some hidden message.
No, this is it is a singular, steady beat.
Guys, it's. I mean, based on everything I know and my ancestors, this is old, like super old. Like this is like old tech, not even old good tech. This is like tech from another time. That's just the flashing light. That's nothing. That's not a single. That's not a message. It's just a light. I mean,
Do we
my
have
my ancestral memories go way back, and it's not even pinging off of what that could be, other than old.
Okay. Do we have an external light on the outside of the ship? Like a searchlight?
I am going to say yes.
Okay. Can we maybe aim it and try flashing the same like pattern back to it?
Absolutely.
Before we just fly up and are like, hello.
And is there?
I'll get the
See if
switch.
it reacts.
Yeah, it's very manual.
Okay. So you begin to flash this interaction at this satellite.
Ooh.
It
Sorry.
responds. It actually flashes brighter.
I figured one
and-
out.
Yeah, it flashes brighter, and then it flashes several times rapidly, very lightly.
We want to respond back with the same way.
If possible, do we have like can we dim and change the brightness on the light? I want to say yes. I feel like that's something that we would have for like landings in different times of day. And you wouldn't want like a super bright light all the time. So I would think that for logical purposes, we would have a light that was dimmable.
This is the future.
Much like the no.
John,
Much like the Hue light bulb. What?
out of
This has been
curiosity,
sponsored by.
planets would let you do like survival and stuff. So kind of a survival thing. Animals. I'm thinking like fireflies, blinky lights type thing, responding to each other, calling each other in. I rolled a 17 for Fozer to have a similar idea, so it's not just me BSing it. So he'd mentioned, is there any chance that that might be biological, not electrical? Is there an electrical field down there? Could that be the mate of whatever we saw earlier?
I'm actually curious to see what our scans, like sensors, can tell us about this thing. If there is any organic readings, or if it's just electrical.
Well, remember, your sensors really don't pick up organic per se, but you aren't reading radio waves from it or any other form of, as energy moves in different forms of waves or band links or bandwidths, I should say. This is not any of those things. It is energy moving in pulses.
Oh god, it's an intergalactic lanternfish.
We could try the laser tight beam.
Sure. I don't know what that is.
That was the ship-to-ship communication thing.
Line of
Like
sight.
short range line of sight
That's right.
communications.
Yep, you are right. I forgot about that one. Yeah, that might work.
So we want to try the laser before we try flashing our lights back at whatever that is over there.
John, is there like a window that Fazra can station himself that looks behind the ship to just see if there's any other flashes in this void around us?
Absolutely.
That's where I'm going to be.
That's smart.
I say before we try the laser, let's flash the lights one more time and see if it continues with the same pattern or if it changes again, and then try, just to make sure that it wasn't just random happenstance that we flashed and it changed. Because maybe it changes at a certain interval.
Please
And we just
continue
happen
to
to be
flash
there.
lights. We can attempt to determine if there is some sort of communication going on based on algorithms.
All right. So you're trying to use the tight laser to communicate.
No, I think we're
using
still
the
going to
lights
flash lights. Yeah.
first.
You're going to try the lights first, and
Mhm.
what specifically are y'all going to do?
So we're going to repeat this like longer beam and then the faster ones, because we want to make sure that when we flashed at it earlier, it wasn't just happenstance that it changed. We're trying to check and make sure that it actually changed because we did something. If it does, then we'll try the laser. If it doesn't change with the lights, then we can still try the laser. But
Yeah,
just see if the lights are actually like a communication form or if they're just there as a beacon to let
Yeah,
people know,
absolutely.
please don't hit me.
All right. Go ahead and I'm gonna say that it just happens. Honestly, there's no reason to say it doesn't. But so you do the longer burst and the series of dim ones,
Yes.
and it's like it brightens and then goes away.
Cool.
the light went out.
The light went out. You're not even reading an energy signature now.
I hope we didn't piss
I
it
will
off.
say.
Analysis incomplete.
Let's
Ted,
yes.
you think you might see some flashes, but far off in the distance, back behind the ship.
Fazra will report that. Uh, I think there might be some flashing way off in the distance, but my eyes aren't as good as the ship's sensors. I can't tell.
Interesting. Let's try and flash the laser thing at it. I forgot what it was called already again.
Communication laser.
Yes, the communication laser, and see if the one that's close to us has any response to it.
What message would you like to send to them, Captain?
Hello, we come in peace.
A classic.
Thank you.
Sent.
One small step for Corp. One large leap for Corp
And
kind.
this is
Foreign kind.
going to be done through the laser.
Yeah, through the tight beam.
Any other lights going to accompany it?
No, not this first time.
Okay. You send off this laser signal, which uh, necessarily doesn't have visible light to it. This is, outside of the visible spectrum light that is going forth from your ship. But that said, I am going to say, go ahead and give me an electronics check, Ellie.
So I rolled a 6, a 5, and a 2, and I'm going to use the 6 to re-roll that 2, to roll another 5, for a total of math hard 21.
All right. I'm going to give you 2 pieces of information. You receive the exact same signal back.
Is it ours?
Yes, that's the other piece of information. It's being reflected back to you.
Okay.
Normally, you would not have picked it up, but you actually did fairly well on that roll. It's very weak, whatever it is.
In
Um,
retrospect, we suspect that because of the age of this station, they may not be equipped to handle tight beam technology.
very fair. Jax,
Yes,
do
Captain.
you know Morse code just based on your previous memories?
They don't call it Morse code, but yeah, the Kaltorans have signals that they use to back and forth. I mean, they're not secret. Most people know it.
Okay. Would you be able to flash the light in maybe like a hello or
Yeah.
whatever a greeting is now in the post apocalypse?
If you want hello, we come in peace again, I can do that.
I feel like it doesn't necessarily need to be that long. I think if we just do a shorter word and see if it reflects the light back to us or if it stays dark or what it does to see if maybe it's mirroring, if it wanted us to mirror it and now it's waiting to mirror us,
Oh,
or
yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
just gonna keep shining our flashlight at this thing until it reacts.
Or until its buddies like catch up to us. And...
Yeah.
It's just waiting for us to improv back.
Then we can flash those guys
Okay.
too.
So,
Phrasing?
Phrasing.
space
Not that
flashing.
type of show, bro.
I hear they're very popular, but no, we are not that type of show. That said, as you begin to power up your lights again, uh, the object lights up directly in front of you.
Ah.
The light flares, and in front of you are now, looking out the helm and the glass of the helm, are rows upon rows of jagged, inward-facing teeth, each the size of a corridor within the ship. The light
Lanternfish.
source,
Hate when you're right.
the light source reveals that it is on a huge stalk that ascends above this mouth of whatever this creature is, and you see 2 inhuman, unblinking eyes cresting high above the cavernous mouth for this creature that is now considering you. It seems to be breathing slow breaths of a titan, and the dust of the nebula seems to enter into its mouth in halting streams, exiting somewhere beyond its head. And with a snap and a jolt, it begins to race forward to try to engulf you.
Oh.
The ship is still acting in a form of autopilot.
Time to wake up David and Bowie.
I'm gonna rap on one of them with my wrench, going, "Hey, pilot, pilot!"
Activate
They
evasive
kinda-
maneuvers.
They kind of just, kind of look at you. They're like, and all of a sudden they kick on their, engines, and the ship starts to spiral and move out of the way. With that said, you've got this thing now chasing you through the atmosphere of the nebula.
Great.
Captain, do we want to fire up the railguns now?
Yes, please. Please.
Now, that said, I do want to remind you that you only have the shots that are in the barrels of each railgun.
Uh-huh.
Not gonna fire them yet. I think, Captain, I think we can hold on to them, but I want to get them warmed up just in case.
Super fair. Do it. Whatever you gotta do.
Perhaps we
protect
can
ourselves.
outrun it. It seems to rely on surprise predatory tactics.
Yes, also that. So David Bowie, faster, please.
They spin, and they're this all of a sudden very unhappy that their conversation of great importance was disturbed. One of them is basically looking over their shoulder back at you, Captain, just basically in their own language, hey! Kind of like this. We had something we were talking about.
If we had gotten eaten, you wouldn't have been able to continue your conversation anyway. So
He
maybe
stops for a moment with that, because the entire time you're talking, he was kind of going, trying to talk at the same time. But when you say that, he stops, considers that for a moment. Guy goes, okay, and turns around back to driving.
So, Fazra, you're not on the bridge. You're like looking out another port window, or are you on the bridge looking backwards?
Yeah, John, was I like up on the spine? Was I somewhere near the rear?
I would say you were near the spine, and as the ship makes a sudden veer, the lights on the side of the ship would have illuminated the teeth kind of dripping down from the top of the jaw of this creature. And now that it is speeding off ahead of it, you see it behind you.
Hey Doc, you might
Gotta
want
go
to grab.
faster.
Yeah,
Gotta go faster.
Oh, are you seeing what we're seeing?
Yep.
Yeah, hold on. We're trying to get away now.
Yeah, you might want to hold on to something.
Could we try zapping it with the lightning?
Ooh.
Is there still lightning? Have we still been going through debris to build up?
Yes, in fact, you're building up quite a bit more of it.
Ooh.
That has been chaotic. We are not sure we can target it.
No, but if we
Can
could
we
get
turn the
ship,
shields to face it?
well, or get the ship so it's kind of parallel to it, so when all that lightning arcs off, it might hit it.
Well, just disconnect whatever lines you guys have connected that's letting it expel and let it build up, and if it tries to take a bite out of us, we zap it.
We also have the contents of cargo bay 4F. We can jettison that into its mouth.
We
Yeah,
don't
it's
need
tough
to
looking
talk
on that.
about what's in cargo bay 4F. I am ready to send that out an airlock.
That might give it something to. We might want to go after that instead of trying to chase down a moving prey.
All
Let's
right.
give it a shot.
What's your plan of action? What's it going to be as the ship is careening? And you do notice, Ellie, more than anyone, as the astronavigation computer continues to have to readjust and adjust and readjust, that the planet is getting away.
Our AI computer will not handle disruption from its course for much longer. It is struggling.
To go to the
Yeah.
planet.
Yeah. Let's jettison what's in bay and see if that does anything. And then, if not, we can try the zappy piece. I'm sure the zap will go off in the next minute anyway, considering how much it's building up. But we can at least attempt to jettison and see if that distracts it
We can
enough.
always buzz the tower, and as we're buzzing the tower, release the lightning, it'll hit it.
Let me ask, does anybody have tactical?
Yes.
I mean, technically it applies to
Yes.
weapons, but I've been trying to think in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say that... let's go with... I'm going to actually say that opening up a bay door, sending out this thing that is not technically a weapon of any sort, it's definitely not a gun. I'm going to go with tactical for that. So I also think it's a very creative solution trying to use this. So I will give you a +1. But for this to have a really good effect, I'm setting it as a difficult task.
Okay.
So it is 16.
I have a +2 to tactical. Does anybody beat me?
I also have a
Okey-doke.
+2. Maybe I can assist?
Yeah,
Maybe we
I'll
can
ask-
time it just right. Like, we can calculate the optimal time for deployment.
All right. And don't forget, you get a +1 from the GM on this one.
Cool.
Can multiple people assist?
I'm gonna say in this case, let's stick with one.
Okay. Well then, Flavor, Fazra is going to grab a bunch of the fusion torches and actual lights and just throw them in amongst the crates so they're nice and lit up.
Oh,
Okay.
nice.
Okay. So I've got a 6, a 3, and a 2. I'm gonna re-roll the 2. Okay, that's a 5. So
Nice.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 with my pluses. +1, so 17. And was there
I
another...
successfully assisted, so I
Okay.
believe that's another +1.
So
Cool.
y'all, if I had said the difficulty at very difficult, y'all would have made it, but you actually hit the difficulty I was looking for. And it's a little bit sad in a way because as the bay door opens, all the contents are going to be going out, including all your workout equipment,
I just realized.
everything. You know, because we never made it there. In game, I'm on stream. I'll go ahead and let the audience know a little bit about it. But so Hangar 4F is, it's a few decades ago. Some crates that were being hauled that required vacuum and low gravity were brought on board. So the following mild catastrophe led to these packages where the colony where they were headed. They just said, no, we're not going to take it, and refused to take delivery. So rather than deal with the loss of profit for having to get rid of all these cases or anything else, they were just left there on the ship because whatever. Corporation didn't want to spend the time, manpower figuring out what to do with it, and that's the way the corporation is. However, it's taken on some unusual properties, which definitely play into this moment. As the crates kind of jettison out with all your equipment and the lights, this creature rushes towards that, and it collides with its mouth, and the contents spill open. And it is this gray, gooey mass that can best be described as oobleck. That stuff that is cornstarch and water, where when you push down on it, it turns solid, but when you don't, it's kind of liquidy. In vacuum, this stuff becomes almost like glue. And it gums up what is one of these creature's gills. You watch Fazra as it kind of cakes in there, the lights illuminating it, and you watch as what is also one of its forms of propulsion get gummed up, and it breaks off pursuit of your vehicle. So we'll say that is where that moment ends for you.
We did it!
Yay!
I don't think they make sonic toothbrushes big enough for one of those things. It's gonna have a bad day.
Well, as long as its bad day doesn't include coming after us. I wonder what it eats out here.
Us.
Well, besides us, Ellie. I mean, there's got to be something it lives on out here.
The other flashes, maybe.
There are other flashes that are approaching that, as the ship has been making various moves, they look like distant kind of bursts of lightning in this nebula.
Interesting.
Should we start running dark, Captain? They may be attracted to the light. I mean, we can't do anything about the lightning flashes, but if we turn off all external lights...
That's a good idea. Let's go ahead and shut down the external lighting systems at this time. And I think since it's no longer pursuing us, I think we can switch back to autopilot. Hey, David Bowie, you can continue your checkers conversation now.
And they're like, oh! And one kind of yells out red, and the other one's like black. And conversation picks up where it left off.
Every once in a while, you just hear "King me" in the background.
Yeah.
So that said, I think we found a good place for us to go ahead and we're going to take a short break. Let everyone hydrate and dehydrate in their own methodology, biological, electronic, whatever. Carbon-based life forms, expel. Uh, that said, we're going to be back in 10 minutes. We hope that you will come back and join us, and we'll see you all soon. All right, guys. over right now. All right. So technically, we should be up and going. I hope everyone is doing well out there. And welcome back to Twitchland. And we are the Rook and Rasp, and we are having our game of Fragged Empire: The Darkness of Infinity. Hopefully, y'all are enjoying it, and hopefully, y'all can hear us. Everything going all right out there in chat? Give y'all
We're
just a
good.
few seconds. Awesome. All right. So that said, the ship now has the opportunity to finally catch up with this rogue planet that is dancing on an orbit between three neutron stars in this, not even a solar system, but part of a nebula. Eventually, maybe it'll become one in a few hundreds of thousands of years. But for the moment, uh, your ship is now headed into the atmosphere. Essentially, it is, the computer is informing you that it is on a course to land. Uh, Thoughts on that, Ellie? It has been quite a while since this ship has landed. Um, Pretty much that was why it was nicknamed the Infinity, is that they've pretty much kept it out and flying.
Concern levels are at yellow borderline orange. Just wanna I'll let the rest of the crew know, in perfect monotone, of course, that the AI computer is planning to land us on the planet.
We land with all the cargo containers that are strapped onto this thing?
It's no
Far
longer
fewer.
strapped. Yeah, they're since y'all are in dry dock or headed to
Okay.
dry dock, everything was stripped off this. I mean,
Okay.
except for the sails and the arms on the exterior.
Okay. Okay. I figured, for some reason, I still thought we were all.
Yeah, nah.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is landing going to be for us on the ship?
Ellie,
Uh,
is our landing gear still in good order at this point, according to the systems check?
They have not been used in hundreds of years.
Well, that's not
Give
a
or take
no.
a century.
so that said, though, you know, David and Bowie don't seem bothered at all and have continued a conversation now onto the benefits of playing cards. So and how superior they are to chess and checkers. Uh, but as your ship is approaching, it begins to enter into the atmosphere. There's, of course, the initial lurch as this fast moving object enters into atmosphere. Your computer begins to read that the planet has a foggy nitrogen oxygen atmosphere. Uh, and while the air would be breathable, the air pressure overall isn't enough here to motivate air to refill your lungs between breaths. So for your organic counterparts, this might be an issue.
Well, we still have our spacesuits. Or did they get flushed out when we vented the cargo bay?
We should
Hopefully
still
you
have
didn't keep
them.
them in Hangar 4F. Come on.
So as the suit is flying, I mean, obviously you won't need full body suits, but you will need a mask or apparatus to aid breathing. So
Okay.
that is something you could try and rig up.
I
Fabsua
can.
will work on that once we've landed. For now, he is buckling himself into the same seat that he took for the button pushing.
Yeah, which is actually a really good idea right now because a few moments later, your artificial gravity kicks off. And with
Oh.
a lurch, your body begins to respond to the natural gravity of this planet that is also affecting the ship. Leaving all of you, your heads a little bit swimming. Those of you who are organic again, obviously. And the ship continues its descent. Now, a few seconds later, proximity alarms begin going off. Uh, Sensors are reading things beyond the walls of your ship. Uh, but, you know, emerging from the fog instead are clusters, we'll say, of thin but tall organic structures, flags of orange glowing fabric, kind of in appearance, hundreds of yards in length, blowing in a wind that you're basically flying past.
Are you guys getting?
So,
Am I seeing things, or is that like organic buildings?
Yeah, it definitely is. This is so strange. Where has our ship taken us?
now, that said, yeah, these are definitely organic structures. Uh, and it is quite a while before your ship even begins to register that it is approaching ground. These things are hundreds, if not thousands, of yards tall, swaying in this breeze. And they seem to collect in groups and sway in the wind. The kind of fabric and filaments, ever so often in appearance, trailing off behind these objects. And your ship kind of veers and adjusts its movements through the sky, uh, going between them. There seems think of it as like almost copses of trees, but there's no ground anywhere near for the moment. Now, a few seconds later, again, your ship responds and it begins to slow down, angling as if it is preparing for the moment for landing. And the fog, that appears out here, uh, it's much less dense, and you're able now to see that your ship is headed for a large landing pad, partially covered by perhaps organic material of some sort, but one that looks civilized is a poor word for it, but definitely large enough to to accommodate your ship. And your ship, your thrusters for landing begin to kick on, and your ship is now slowing down, and it feels that feeling of the elevator feel as the elevator is coming to a stop, and you hear the landing gear that has not been activated in ages groan and strain noisily
I'm
uh,
old.
all over the entire ship. You can hear it.
Glad I made those earmuffs for Bucky.
Exterior proximity cameras activate, and you see the ship begin to touch down. A coppery wisps of what looks like grass on the ground first begin to blow and respond as if by the air being put off by the thrusters before they are blackened to char and just blow away. And the ship finally comes to a not so graceful land there on the pad.
2 out of 10.
And
Uh,
after a few moments, you hear the engines, whirl down and come to a rest.
Not the
How
worst
well
landing.
how well lit is this place naturally? Are we seeing this in the lights of the ship,
Oh
or
man, it's lit AF.
There's not too much lighting outside. The ship is lit, but in the wind uh, and through the fog, it's as if there is a bioluminescence to these things as they hover in the air and blow in the wind. So there is that, at least.
So is this planetoid? Is it like tidal locked against the trinary stars? I mean, so are we always going to be in the dark side?
You are always lit. There's always light here, is what you're going to be guessing.
Okay.
Uh, at least more than 90% of the time.
Interesting.
Well, I
Okay.
mean, Ellie, is the navigation computer, is it still acting odd, or is it finally happy that we're here? So is it happy that we're here?
It's actually no longer registering a flight pattern.
This was its intended destination.
I guess we have to get out of the ship.
I'm gonna go check on Bucky and let me know on the comms if anything crazy happens.
We can send some drones to take primary analysis and survey the area before you commit organic body parts to the endeavor.
That sounds good. I
Yeah, I
would
was going to wear a
appreciate
suit
that.
out either way.
Yeah.
That is recommended.
Okay, so going around the table, I'm gonna see what everybody's going to be doing, and let's go ahead and start off with our commander. I think because whatever you decide is going to set a lot of the tone. What are you going to be doing as team prepares or decides what it's going to do?
Um, so I think I would be working uh with the systems, like with I don't know. I know that David and Bowie are like pilots. Do they have access to like can they test the oxygen levels in the air outside of the ship and things like that, or is that something that Ellie would help with?
Either, to be honest, I mean they can do that, and they've given
Okay.
basic readings. Uh, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, in system, and rattle off that, uh, maybe if you were something else, you might be able to breathe here, but no good for corporate.
Okay. Just wanted to check on that as I'm in the process of locating my spacesuit.
Okay. So you're looking for a spacesuit, checking with them. Let's go ahead and check on Shawn. What is your character doing?
So Jax is going to hightail it down to the engine room to make sure that we can take off again, make sure the engines are still functioning. After confirming that hopefully everything is still green on the boards, he would go back to his quarters, grab his shotgun, and continue and look for a suit for himself, which should be somewhere in the engine room, but he can't remember where he put it.
Okay. I'm going to say that you can tell that for the most part, it's almost as if this place was made for this ship. Uh, and I say that because it's almost like the landing pad has reacted, and a portion of the landing pad has now attached itself to the ship into one of the refueling ports, but nothing is coming in.
Okay. Which is
Uh,
good because I'd be more concerned. 1,000-year-old fuel probably is not good.
uh, but other than that, it looks like, yeah, your ship probably could leave just as easily as it came in.
Is there a panel somewhere that I can confirm that if we leave, the landing gear will retract, or that they're stable?
Let's go ahead and, I'm gonna say mechanics because while it would be an electronic panel that you're looking at, trying to, interacting with, ultimately this is more of I'm gonna say this is more your level of skill dealing with this, saying whether or not that would be safe or not.
Right, like looking at hydraulic levels,
Yeah,
looking at all that kind of stuff.
but let's go with mechanics.
Is this hard difficulty?
I'm gonna say pretty much your. Let me pull that back up. We're gonna say this is gonna be a moderate task, so 12.
14.
All right. Uh, so obviously, yeah, hydraulics, everything is set and everything looks like it works. And at the same time, you're like, well, it should close up most of the way. And once in space, worst comes to worst, you can get out there and hit it with a wrench a few times. So,
Mental note: when we leave the ship, I want to at least do a quick inspection, just a visual inspection to make sure we look good.
All right. Going to Fazra. So, Fazra, what specifically are you doing? Obviously, some people are interested in getting suits, but what about you?
So Fozzer is going to be checking on Buckmaster Flash first, like you said he was going to. After that, I think he's going to be getting some air samples just to figure out if there's any biological hazards. Typical, just kind of making sure the environment is safe, other than the lack of pressure to make breathing easier. And then, honestly, I think his big focus is going to be those smaller flashes that were heading our direction up in space, because the fish weren't making flashes other than like the lure flashes. And you said these looked more like lightning flashes, like what our ship was doing. So I
Hmm.
think he's going to be staying more on kind of just Overwatch type stuff, and once he determines if the environment's safe.
Uh, yeah. Well, let's start off with the environmental. So let's go ahead and do probably biotech.
I'd say
Uh,
biotech or medicine.
yeah, yeah, let's go medicine. That's a good one.
It should be a good one. That is a 9 plus 3. That's a 12.
All right. So it should be safe, but you would think that it'd be a good idea to go ahead and do a standard inoculation for anyone who's going to go planet side, just in case there's anything old here that is unfriendly, uh, of the single cell variety.
Makes sense. He is also going to draw on his past as an echo and just warn everyone this is an old planet. Just keep your eyes open. Not everything old fades away over time.
Uh, Buckmaster Flash is over in the crew quarters. In his more unusual way, he's managed to get into the captain's quarters again. You have no idea how he manages to operate the door, but he does, and yet again, up on the captain's bed.
Better for him in
Sees you
there.
come
Shut
in
the
the
door.
door, and kind of, huh? What was that?
Better he's in there than out on the planet. Shut the door and lock it.
All right.
Sorry,
Uh,
Captain.
and beyond that, were you going to be looking into breathing equipment or anything else for yourself, or are you going to go ahead and do a suit?
If we have enough breathing equipment, he will take one. Otherwise, he might rely on his all power, which lets him hold his breath for crazy amounts of time.
Cool. All right. And then Ellie. So you had said you wanted to send drones out.
Yeah, so I have a couple of the TXI 82. These aren't the 82 model. These are like the 75-ish model. Like they're really old. They don't have the full suite of especially the offensive capabilities, but they do have standard like tight beam communications with other drones, and they can fly. So Ellie would like to send those out to get a preliminary kind of visual sensor sweep of the area just to make sure what we're getting into. But at the same time, she still wants to continue her interfacing with the original computer. Like she does
Okay.
not want to sever that connection. So she's still going to try and decipher whatever code it's using into Palantir code.
All right. So let's go ahead and with the drones that you're sending out. Hmm, let's have you make a awareness check. And I'm gonna say I'm actually gonna just do kind of a tiered thing, uh, on how much information you can get based on your role. So an easy task is going to tell you things, but the higher you get, the better, more information will get you.
Well, I have 2 6s and a 4 so far.
Okay, well, never mind. Okay, wow. So that said, uh, there is, I'm gonna say, a path. First and foremost, your drones fan out from the infinity. scouring the pad, clearing a little bit of the charred carbon that now dots the landscape where your ship has come down. And the exterior temperature of the ship still managed to cook off a lot of the biological or at least plant life here. But going beyond that, it finds there is a path leading away. No immediate sign of what it leads to. Better than that, low pressure, uh, low gravity. So at the same time, you're going to be moving. Think a little bit more gravity than the moon, but not something you're normally used to. Uh, and on top of that, a lot of plant life. And finally, you do see animal life as well. Uh, Appears to be, you know, think legged lizard like. Small is it what you can make out about it at first. Think about the size of a gecko, but six-legged, and it considers your drones for a moment and darts away. So,
Glad our organic crew members will have something to eat that's not MREs for once.
Hey, don't
Uh,
you talk bad about my chili mac.
I like trying new things, and I'm really excited to get out on the planet, but I don't want to eat lizards.
They're not too bad. You just got to cook them right.
We do not detect anything hostile in the area.
All right.
so you all depart the ship.
I'm gonna say the captain definitely goes out. Do others come with?
Yep, got my shotgun and my other sidearm, so if anything does attack, hopefully, some
John, do we
protection.
have enough masks and air filters for everyone that need them?
For the three of you, absolutely. The big question was whether or not people were also going to be using suits, especially if that suit had any form of armor capability. Because these are obviously things that may affect story as you leave the ship.
That's not ominous.
Not at all. Not at all. But that said, so Bink, you got your shotgun, your other weapons. Do you have on armor or a armored suit of some sort?
Yeah, I've got my ooh, that is small. I've got my I renamed one of the armors on there. It's a smart weave, so I have a control in my collar to click it on, and it'll go black and then stiffen up, and it gives me a little bit of armor protection, +2 to endurance, +3 to defense.
All right, perfect. What about for Fazra? Is he sticking to the breathing equipment, but the rest of his normal equipment on top of that, or what are we thinking?
No, his armor is actually it is a light field force field that is generated by the all power. So he can just wear a regular flight suit with a breathing mask and be okay and just turn it on when it's needed.
So you're kind of the mage of the group, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, he's got the mage armor.
All right. And just double checking for Allah, for Ellie coming out of the ship. How's that happening?
I think we'll take the primary body to accompany you guys.
Ooh.
Ooh.
But still, we will leave behind one of our processing drones to continue integrating with the ship systems.
All right.
In case of emergencies, we are backed up.
That said, especially with the additional memories of the ship, this all feels very familiar.
Yeah, Ellie's not sure how to process that at the moment.
Especially with Ellie's not so much loss, but lack of memory on her own. That going forward, what are y'all gonna be doing? Are you gonna stay here? Or are you gonna go and follow that path?
Captain, it's up to you, but I suggest we follow the path. I mean, we could wander around here for days without ever finding anything.
I feel like following the path is definitely a good idea. Um, I was gonna say let's make a loop around the ship so we can kind of familiarize ourselves, but I forgot how big our ship is. Do I
Yeah,
want to walk that far?
Well, while we're doing the loop, I can do my visual inspection of the landing gear to make sure that it's not going to cause any problems when we leave.
1 second.
All right, you go ahead and make that loop, and we'll wait here. Kidding, we'll come with you. We'll all make the loop
And you said
in
the gravity.
solidarity.
You said the gravity was less than what our moon would be.
Well, it is more than say our moon,
Okay,
but less than obviously Earth.
not the standard that
Probably,
we're used to.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And it's one of those things where those of you who are just wearing breathing equipment, there's a feeling to the air. Like as you move through it, you can feel it on you. It hangs heavy, but it doesn't feel like everything's pressurized around you. There's a certain reality that you know that if you didn't have that breathing mask on, that if you expelled the air from your lungs, it would be like trying to suck air in through a straw just to draw breath. So,
And
uh, comparing it even to asthma, it would not be fair. This is something worse than that, where every breath would be halting and you can't be certain the oxygen quality of what you're getting.
and is the atmosphere wet feeling? Is it like like it's not like a thick wet fog, or is it?
It's there is a moisture to it. What I usually term more with obviously water or H2O, but it's like there is a certain feel to the air. You know, it's one of those things where I understand. I love myself, your DM. I love astronomy, and I love the study of planetary astronomy, and the reality that there are planets out there where the air pressure is so different that say dry ice on our world moves immediately from solid to gaseous form. There are worlds out there where the polar ice caps are made out of that, and there are rivers of water, the water that dry ice would become. So imagine that there is a certain wetness to this, but this is not water.
Okay,
Uh, so it feels foreign and it feels alien.
definitely want to shower after we get back to the ship.
How do you think I feel between the static charge in my fur and now the fact that it's basically full of the contents of F4 again, or 4F?
Mm. Yeah, you're not having a good day, are you?
Yeah, better than Buckmaster.
Maybe Buckmaster might be really happy right now.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, by the way, Captain, I locked him in your quarters so he wouldn't be underfoot.
Oh, okay, that's fine. Uh, you sure he doesn't want to come on a walk with us?
I'm
No
quite sure.
walkies?
He
Okay.
seems quite happy in your bed.
All right. Well, hope he enjoys his nap.
'Cause that's all dogs do, locked in bedrooms. That said,
That's
uh, you begin walking around the ship as a group.
Mhm.
Uh, there is a slight wind to this planet, and you feel and see everything moving about. But these tall stalks, you now can see them uh, fluttering back and forth. Fazra, you have medical equipment. I'm figuring you're taking a few scans.
Yes, I will happily do so if you let me.
Yeah, a great deal. of think the lack of gravity, the moisture in the air, the way things are, a just cornucopia of singular cell life forms floating through the air. Uh, think of maybe a slide on a microscope. You know,
Fazra is going to shudder a little bit and not mention that to the group.
scanning the plants around. They're carnivorous in a way because those strands of fiber coming off of them are absorbing the tiny animal life that swims too close. So, not certain. You think that might leave a nasty burn, but they probably wouldn't consume you if one of you accidentally touched them.
I'd
Probably.
recommend keeping away from the strip plants there. They might burn you, but otherwise, I think we should be good if we keep our distance.
We'll keep the drones away too.
Obviously, none of this would have any effect on Ellie. So, congratulations on that.
We're not sure yet, and we don't want to test this theory.
And there's always a possibility of rusting.
But there is a singular walkway leading
Mhm.
through the brush, slightly overcovered with, you know, the coppery short grass plant life. As near as you can tell, that is actually, fauna. Not it's flora. It is just grass absorbing the light and living its best life.
Woo.
Hey, Doc, before we step on, I guess that's grass, are we sure that's safe? Did you scan that?
Oh, I can scan it, but considering the amount of single cell organisms now living inside your dreadlocks, I'd be more worried about those. But
What?
sure, and
What?
then grab the
Wait,
scanner
what?
and head over to the grass.
What are you talking about?
All right. The grass, like I said, just scans and reads that it is a photosynthesis based life form that, yeah, not harmful at all and possibly edible.
Grass is good.
Right.
What's the plan for the team?
Follow the path.
All right. You depart this landing pad and begin to make your way further onto this planet. It's one of those things where there's a feeling. I mean, obviously, there's energy here. The landing pad reacted to the ship. And looking back at your ship now, I mean, you see that exterior hull, and it, everything tells you that whatever made the ship also made this landing pad, possibly this civilization base.
Okay.
So you're going down this pathway, slightly overgrown, and it is a quarter of a mile. Uh, Weaving between the stalks of the trees, this grass. Ever so often, you'll open up into a field of it. And I must say that you see movement through the grass. The grass seems to part, and groups of things are rushing through it. Uh, Fazra, if you're looking, more likely scanning, uh, you see that there is the animal life I described earlier, those little lizards, and they are darting through the grass. Not towards you, but they seem to almost not be paying attention. So, more than likely after something else. Yeah. Anything you want to do with that information? Any questions you have?
Uh, I will take note of the lizards. Mention, hey Jax, if you were interested in trying lizard, there's your opportunity.
You know what? Just ate before we left the ship. I think I'm good right now.
Captain, you looking to add some protein to your chili mac?
Oh, no, that's okay. I'm good. She kind of looks a little grossed out at the idea of eating a gecko, essentially.
And maybe and Jax is looking at us like, that's a lot of lizards.
Does Corp even eat real food anymore? Like, do they
I
have they
don't.
just been eating MREs like their entire existence?
So basically, I think the exception is like when they go landside and can get like fresh food, they want to eat like fresher stuff on occasion. That's a splurge.
I will say,
So,
I'm kind of curious with the book coming out for second edition, just as an aside, because they point out a difference in the wealth level
mhm,
between like the corporation. Like there is a huge divide
mhm.
where there's the worker class now, and there's going to be a corporate higher class. And I think it's gonna. I'm really looking forward to the book getting more information on that. So just tossing that out there because it was the graphic for the ships that came out like a couple weeks before, and they showed like the two ships side by side of the worker ship,
Mhm.
and then here's the Rolls Royce of space that yeah. But anyway, uh,
The art is gorgeous.
it is.
Yes.
You're making your way on this pathway, and there's finally some rocks and large copse of these trees per se. Hard to really name them anything else. But you finally move through that area about another third of a mile and opens up onto another plane of grass. And you see what looks like, couldn't really call it a city, but perhaps some sort of base. Uh, the path kind of curves down, and through one of these large coppery fields, you see that it kind of cuts through the stone and starts going further and further at an angle. And there's a crevice in the planet, and that is where the base is. Like it is like a canyon, but it's very large. Like if your ship had tried to land there, maybe about 10 to 20 of those ships could have fit in that city.
Wow.
So it's
Wow.
not a small area. But again, this is what looms out in front of you on this planet.
And does it look like super overgrown? I mean, or does it look maintained?
Uh, Overgrown, without a
Oh,
doubt.
okay.
No lights on. Uh, Not reading any energy readings, really. So, what's your thought as a crew? What are y'all going to be doing?
I would say there's no question we would go towards the city or the
Yeah.
base.
It is a large space to cover with just the four of us.
Unfortunately, we don't have many more people we can bring out.
Luckily, Ellie has her drones at least.
That's true.
Can they give us like a high? Can they buzz over the height or the top of the city? Maybe it would look familiar city structure, so we would know where to focus. Like maybe we could tell that there's a residential and there's a I don't know administration.
Or maybe we can see if there's any power readings or anything else. And if I'm still connected to the computer, maybe it will react to something visually. Like if we do like a higher sweep of the area.
Maybe we
All
could
right.
try flashing it.
Uh,
Uh,
We'll save that for as a last resort.
I'd like to ask a question about the city that we're seeing.
yes,
Um,
absolutely.
does it look like it was built by Corp or by a different race? Like uh, maybe
So,
a specific
w-
something?
best way to think of it is so when Corp really became what it is,
Mhm.
uh, it stumbled upon the technology and the know-how of its predecessor race and humanity,
Okay.
discovering a great vault and a religion that humans seem to worship called capitalism. Uh, and so yeah, you're looking at this, and your society is based out of that.
Okay.
Uh, and so you would reckon that might not be core base, but it is definitely something that it based on the societies that your society has been built on.
Okay.
And it's definitely different than all the orange tall tree buildings
Oh yes, no,
structures. Okay, so it's definitely distinct from that.
uh, a little bit more different. These plant-like structures. Think of them as bamboo
Okay.
in size and in groups extending off into the horizon up above you. Like they just go up and disappear, and all that you see is those wisps of what look like fabric. Uh, at closer look, it's actually filaments. So
Which is what we were told not to touch those filaments, correct?
yes,
Gotcha.
Yes.
so very different idea of structure. I mean, this is the utilitarian idea of corners. Corners aren't really usually seen in organic life structure. You know, there's of course the nerdy uh, kind of people who get into building that are like the corner is the highest use of structure and space because you are maximizing both. You know, you're using as much space as possible, you're using as much structure as possible, and that points out something is usually been manufactured. Uh, so these are large, blocky buildings. Uh, think futuristic cities. Think something a little bit closer, maybe in Star Wars, to Coruscant, with those large, blocky structures everywhere, but obviously confined to this, you know, canyon. So does that give you a better idea of it? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As y'all are walking towards it, there is one of these lizards runs out onto the path in front of you. Now it's a little bit larger than the others. It's about 6 inches in length, from tip of head to tail. Uh, Six-legged, kind of a grayish color, four red eyes. But they do not move. Think they're obviously absorbing light and information, and the entire body just turns towards you.
Um, it's looking at us.
Probably waiting for you to say hello, Jax.
Uh,
Oh, you're right, Captain. That should be your role. Would you like to greet the lizard for us?
sure.
It
Hello.
whistles in a way and takes about 4 or 5 steps forward.
Okay. Can I try to emulate the whistle back to it? We're just gonna spend this entire session just repeating back the weird things that are presented
Yeah,
to us, and we're gonna see how many more times it takes for us to almost get eaten by a giant fish thing
What sort of teeth does the
before
lizard
I.
have?
Can it
it
eat our entire ship?
doesn't seem like it's going to, but it whistles again and takes about another 4 steps forward.
Okay. Um, I will again whistle back the same way, and I will take another. I will step forward one step and see if it reacts to that.
Its mouth forms a circle and takes about 2 steps forwards and whistles again.
Fazra is gonna have his hammer appear in his hand, ready to protect the captain.
Yeah, I was gonna say Jax has the shotgun out. It's not pointed at the lizard, but it's creepy.
Can I? Does the lizard appear to be getting like when it's whistling or moving forward, does it appear to be moving aggressively or just
Uh,
like a lizard?
that would definitely be something more along the lines of a psychology check. It is not. You're dealing with an alien life form that
Mhm.
obviously is an environment you're not as well versed with. So
I got
it's kind of a guess.
an 11.
Um, you would think this is more of a lure.
Interesting.
Or is it calling
This
for
is
its friends?
this is not so much a hello and how do you do. This is more of a hey, uh, why don't you pay attention to me?
Okay. I'm gonna instead of whistling and taking another step like I had been doing, I'm gonna use that information. I'm gonna kind of mention it to the rest of the crew, and then start looking around to see if I can see anything. Maybe some of the grass moving, like something's coming towards us.
How about an awareness check?
Okay.
And this is going to be I'm going to say just because you know nobody was really certain. I'm going to say this is a difficult task, so that's a 16. Anybody can go ahead and try and do it though, especially since she pointed it out.
I'm going to spend a point of grit to do a reroll.
Fazra is oblivious. He has a 9, so he's going to be focused on the one in front to make sure it doesn't attack the captain.
I got a 6, so I'm re-rolling one of mine.
Okay. I got like a 7, so I'm also going to use my that was cocked to reroll.
Okay,
I just got granted one.
nice,
Nice.
nice.
That's much better. 2 sixes and a 5.
Thank
Ooh,
you,
nice.
Squatch.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right.
18 for me.
I got a 13, and I'm not going to waste any more rerolls.
So, Captain, looking around the grass, it isn't so much that you see any movement, but more that you're able to pick out a different color from the red.
Ooh.
Well, actually, I should say the copper color in the grass. There is the red color of its eyes that on this lizard, and you see what looks like maybe hundreds of those interwoven into the grass, looking a little bit like seeds hiding on the stalks.
Okay. Uh, hey y'all. Lots of lizards over there.
Where?
And I point in the direction that I see all of these lizards and their little eyes staring at me,
Oh,
at us.
that's disconcerting.
That's a couple. Um,
It makes its whistle sound again, and it takes a few more steps forward. And as it draws your attention to it, it's as if its mouth opens wider. And think of it almost as if the mouth is, think of a banana. And when you peel the banana, think of it as the mouth begins to open wider and wider on this lizard like body. And what normally on the terrestrial heads you're used to is up there at the front. The mouth of this creature runs the entire length, all the way to the base of the tail.
Ooh.
I think we
And
vastly.
thanks, I hate it.
yeah, as it opens its mouth, it's got tiny teeth running the length of that opening on both sides. And inside, it appears to have, let's just say, a vestigial, almost tail-like structure inside. You would think, I'm gonna say, Fazra, you know that structure a little bit from leeches.
Oh.
Yep, saw that coming.
Hmm.
We vastly underestimate who would be the apex predator on this planet. It is not us.
All right. And it will jump at the captain. So, that said, let's go ahead and we're going to just do a little bit of fun combat rolls.
Yay.
Fun.
And I'm just going to go around and let everybody react however it is that y'all are going to react in this situation. At this point, only this one is jumping at the captain. Captain, how are you going to respond?
So Captain would put her arm up because she's got her suit on and it's got an armory quality to it. So she'll put an arm up to like protect herself in whatever direction this thing is jumping. And her other arm is going to be going towards, she has a pistol blaster.
Okay.
And she will go ahead and draw that because this is going to be a very interesting scenario in case she has
All
to
right.
shoot at any of them.
You want to go ahead and put one shot into it?
Yes.
All right. So you're going to need to roll 3d6.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go ahead and go through this. Obviously, you've selected your target.
Mm-hmm.
So you're rolling 3d6 plus your weapon hit.
Okay. Oh yeah, where is my weapon hit on this sheet?
I think y'all's, because y'all are using that really cool sheet, it's on the second page.
Yes. The 3d6.
Yeah, there's a really neat little page for Frag Second Edition everybody found. It's really cool. It's an Excel spreadsheet, right?
Yeah. So I could talk about that while Cece does her math over there. Basically, the fragged Discord channel, which is awesome. If you're interested in the setting, I highly recommend them. They're a great group. They have a playtest edition of the book available, along with a bunch of supplements and really cool add-ons, such as this Excel spreadsheet for Google Sheets for making characters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I have my sheet pulled up. I did a roll and on the dice I got a 13. Now, I don't understand how, because this is our first battle. I
Yeah. Yeah.
don't know because it's got the section about like hit and then skill, and I have +2, -2, +0. I don't
Are you
know
planning on moving
which.
this turn?
No.
So then you would be using what is called the sighted shot. It's on the left side of the screen.
Okay.
So you add your reflexes to the hit, and then you get to add your focus to the endurance damage of your weapon. Sorry, John.
Oh no. Hey, you've got the spreadsheet pulled up. I have the old character sheet pulled up, so I appreciate you helping.
Okay.
And so, yep, the skill plus the weapon hit should give you a total. Uh, right now, for this creature that you are up against, it has a 10.
Okay. So I think that's a 15.
Yeah.
Okay. Because
And
since,
so,
yeah.
yep,
Cool. And that's just a hit?
that is going to be a hit.
Okay.
And your endurance damage, easy
Endurance?
way to put it is if your attack roll equals or exceeds your target's defense, they lose endurance equal to your weapon's endurance damage.
Okay. So that one, I also have 3 numbers in that one that are 2, 4, and 3.
That's
Would
going to
I
be your
use the
range.
Yep. And so this is going to be a weapon that probably is best at medium range for that 4.
so the range says 1, 1, and then strength. So I'm not sure. That's
Well,
what I grabbed from the book.
we'll look it over and we'll have a
Okay.
little bit more of that done for next game.
Yeah,
But I'm gonna go ahead and
sorry.
say that no, it's all good. We're I'm gonna say that pretty much you splatter this creature
Okay.
as it jumps through the air.
Okay.
Uh, but the others in the grass begin to open up their maws. And we're going to say they start jumping as well. I'm going to ask for everybody to go ahead and tell me what they're doing. Going with Shawn, what is your character doing?
We're pretty much close range.
Mhm.
I'm going to rack the shotgun and take a shot.
All right, take that shot then. Like I said, you're looking at 10 for it, for its target's defense. So 3d6 plus your weapon hit plus skill.
10,
And this is at close range,
11.
so there is no range penalty.
Okay, 10, 11. 10, 11, 13.
All right,
13
and
total.
your endurance damage for your weapon?
5.
5. All right. With your shotgun, you blast several of them out of the air. And then Ted, what are you doing?
Are they attacking us from both sides, or are they coming at us from one side specifically?
Both sides. They're essentially on both sides of the grass along this pathway.
So I hate to be a broken record, but since the tenets of the All Monk is you're supposed to protect and try to deal as little damage as possible, I think what I'm going to try to do is one side of the pathway just make a large, basically force wall, so we can focus on one side at a time and keep the others away from us.
Awesome.
And I'm going to be meditating to the All Being to try and use my All Power there.
The All Being. I pray to the All Being quite often.
Every morning, All Being, please help me. Well, I'm gonna spend that was Cox that Monica gave me earlier. Thank you, Monica.
Nice, thank you, Monica.
Nice.
Glad you're out there in the chat.
That's a 9, 13. That's a 15. I'm trying to remember if that puts me one shy of the difficulty that I need for a large wall.
For the large wall, it shouldn't be.
Okay, then that is my action. I am defending that side of the group and keeping everyone safe while they focus on the other side.
All right. And then what is Ellie going to be doing?
Ellie's not really combatant, but I think, let's say maybe 2 of the drones are a little bit newer and still have their rudimentary projectile weapons on them.
Mhm.
So I'm going to attack with the drones. And of course, I don't think the rules for this were fleshed out in the 2nd edition book yet, so I'm still referencing a lot of the 1st edition stuff.
It's all right. You know me, I'm rule of cool.
Those should both connect.
All right.
They're
We're going to go ahead and
14.
And what kind of weapon would this be?
I believe these guys have a standard pistol as part of their kit.
All right. You blast some more out of the air, and a few of them will halt and begin devouring the ones that have been hit, rather than coming at you. That said, y'all have a brief moment. What is the goal for the group? Are y'all going to run into the city, or are you going to go back to the ship?
Which is closer at this point? Are we kind of equal distance,
You
or
think you might be equal distance?
Your call, Captain. Which way do we go?
There might be more creatures like this.
there might be bigger
Yeah.
creatures like this?
Getting back to the ship is probably the best idea right now. We can send some recon drones out to see if they detect anything else once we get there. But yeah, let's go ahead and get to the ship because we know that can provide us protection. So, everyone.
And Captain, just for fun, I'll go ahead and say, just give me a leadership skill test. Would also probably work with this, just for fun.
Okay. Well, luckily I'm good at leadership. Oh, dang, that's another 6, 6, and 5. So
Nice.
17, 18, 19. Uh, yeah.
Speech, speech, speech.
Speech, speech, speech.
Uh,
A moving and rallying speech to get us safely back to the ship.
yep. And you, while you're doing this with that score, I'm gonna say, pops in your mind that you know where this is now, and
Mhm.
you could probably go back and get the lifeboats and take that to the city.
Ooh.
I'll go ahead
Ooh,
and drop that because you've got an incredible score on that, and that would bypass all this.
sweet. Everybody to the ship.
And so you run and make your way
That was
back.
my speech. You can all
Fauntleroy's
clap
gonna try
now.
to grab a couple of the
Yeah,
lizards, the dead lizards.
Oh yeah, for science, we should
for
probably
science.
collect some of these.
Yes, for science. I was thinking for dinner, but okay.
Why not
So
both?
that
We are
said,
excited to see what
think
they do to your digestive system. Sorry, John.
we're no, no. I think this going back to the ship, realizing that you might now you know where you need to go. Take the lifeboat. This is probably a good place for us to go ahead and pause for the night. So, that said, let's go ahead and get a few announcements and everything out of the way. So, guys, thank you all so much for coming out tonight and joining us for the game. I want to go ahead and be sure to point out we have a lot coming up this month. Starting on Monday, I'm going to go ahead and toss this out. This is our first announcement on the Twitch stream for it. Monday, we have X Crawl, The Rise of the Lucky Strikes. If you've never heard of X-Crawl before, we are using the 5e system with D&D, but it is set in a modern time where contestants go and try and go through dungeon crawls, much like as far as it's televised. Think of it as Running Man or
Mash
Squid Game.
TV.
Like it's
You
like
know,
Hunger Games, but
yeah,
Worst American Gladiator ever.
something along those lines, and it happens in a fantasy-esque 80s for the current emperor is Emperor Reagan. So yeah, that is on Monday. On Thursday, I believe we're coming back to this show, and that is our next date. My brain is kind of taking a jump. Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Thursday is our next day back this coming week. Friday next week, we have Capers. We are doing a kickoff for Nerdburger Con, and we will be their first game on Friday night here. Yep. Awesome game that it is. And we will actually have the creator, Craig, running the game for us, which I am looking forward to. He's creating an all new plot for our table.
Awesome.
So be sure to come back for some familiar faces of that. And then Saturday, if all goes according to plan, we are going to have next Saturday, not this coming Saturday, but next Saturday, we will have Freedom Squadron with some familiar faces back for that. And we will be playing with the line developer for that. And Ted will be back for that, and Shawn will be back for that. And we're going to be playing iconic characters. Now, Freedom Squadron is a cartoon universe esque thing. Think Saturday morning cartoons, G.I. Joe. With the stand ins for that, it uses a Savage World system. And it is a great game. I love it. It's one of the most unique takes on Savage World I've seen with the way that you get into missions. And I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to playing an iconic character. They gave me, they were like, hey, pick out some random character from GI Joe, and we have something that might be equivalent. And I was like, well, I want to play freaking Lady Jane or Lady J because she was my hero. Seriously, the idea of somebody using javelins that were the equivalent of Rambo's bow. I mean, she was a badass, straight up. Uh, so yeah, I'll be back for that one. And then, golly, we have so many games coming up. I really hope that y'all can make it. But we've got X Crawl starting up. We've got Seven Seas going to be coming. Ninja Crusade. I announced that earlier. We're pushing it back until January, just because we got a lot going on right now. And yeah, just want to toss that out there. Our goal was to try and start up in November, but literally November, we've got on the 14th is, Veterans Day. Then 2 weeks after that, we have Thanksgiving, literally. Then 2 weeks after that is technically my birthday. And then 2 weeks after that is, again, Christmas Eve. It's like, okay, when are we going to hold the game? So, yeah, just tossing that out there. But all considered, we got tons of games this month. And then next month, we have Deadlands. I want to toss that one out. We will actually have a Deadlands game on the first weekend of that month. Halloween, we'll be doing a Halloween special of Kids on Bikes. We hope to see you back for all those, all right?
And then we
Everyone.
got Illuminated Pages coming up in November with Horror on the Orient Express.
Ooh, yeah. We're doing Murder on the Orient Express, or Horror on the Orient Express, which is another one of their big penultimate campaigns. And we will have, if you remember our Spycraft game that we did about a year ago, we will have Alyssa back for that. She managed to get a break in her schedule enough to come join us, and I'm looking forward to that. And Ala, you're in that game too, right? And Shawn, you're in that game too, right?
Yep.
All the games.
All the
All the
games.
Guys, we play tons of games here on the channel. I would recommend hopping in our Discord channel because one of the games that we do is Seriously Let's Play, and every month we look for cast from our community. So come out and join us, all right? All right, everyone. That is, I think, all the announcements I can fit in. Y'all have a safe and wonderful evening, and we will talk to y'all later, okay? Stay safe, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.